Good day, students. Hi, I'm teacher Vanessa and I will be your math teacher. So our topic for today is about concepts of functions. So we have 3 targets to hit. So the first one is define and differentiate relations and functions. Second one represents real-life situations using functions, including piecewise functions. Third, evaluates a function. So for introduction, in everyday life, many quantities depend on one or more changing variables. Examples. So I will give 2 examples. So the first one is plant growth depends on sunlight and rainfall. Second one, test marks depend on attitude or if a student pay attention during discussion. Okay, so I have 2 questions to ask. So the first one is, what is a function? So what is a function? Next, what is a relation? So what is a relation? So you will understand that later after I give an illustration and definition of relation and function. So a function is a relationship between 2 variables such that every input corresponds to exactly one output. In symbols, that for every x, there is exactly one y. While for relation, it refers to any set of ordered pairs. Okay, so the first illustration is a function. Because each x value corresponds to exactly one y value. So it is a 1-to-1 correspondence. Okay, next, still a function because each x value corresponds to exactly one y value. So even though we have numbers 2 and 3 in the domain, so it corresponds to only or exactly one y value, which is number 3. Okay, second or third illustration. So it is a relation because the x value 3 corresponds to 2 y values, so which are numbers 5 and 7. So 3 corresponds to numbers 5 and 7. So that's the reason why it is a relation. Okay, for functions versus relations. So input, output chart, each input has only one output. While for the relations, at least one input has more than one output. Okay, so consider the correspondence depicted in the diagram below. So in this correspondence, the students in grade 11 are the elements in the domain, and their telephone numbers are the elements of the range. So is it a function or relation? So it is a relation because not all elements in the domain correspond to a unique element in the range. Because if Joy is selected, a unique number cannot assigned to her because she has 2 telephone numbers. Okay, so next one. In this correspondence, the students in grade 11 are the elements of the domain, and their respective assigned rooms are the elements in the range. So is it a function or relation? So the correspondence is a function, since every element in the domain corresponds to a unique element in the range. So 1-to-1, or it has a many-to-one correspondence. Okay, so kindly identify if the given illustration is a function or relation. So function or relation. So it is a relation because we have 2 y values, which are numbers 6, and 7. So 1 corresponds to numbers 6 and 7. So next one, function or relation. So it is a function because we only have one value of y. So numbers 1 and 2 corresponds to 6. Okay, so next illustration, function or relation. So it is a function because it is a one-to-one correspondence. Okay, next one, function or relation. So it is a relation because number 1 corresponds to numbers 5 and 7. So before we end our lesson, so what is the difference between function and relation? So relations, that elements of the domain can be imagined as input to a machine that applies rules to these inputs to generate one or more outputs. While for functions, the elements of the domain can be imagined as input to a machine that applies a rule so that each input corresponds to only one output. Okay, as a homework, answer the given activity in worksheet 1 and study our next lesson, the vertical line text. Thank you. See you next discussion.